How to create a city for, by and with youngsters. Hi, my name is Marcin Wojciech-Żebrowski and welcome to the newest episode of the Urbcast and Act Now series. The Urbcast and Act Now series is a series of conversations I recorded during the Act Now Mayor's Conference 2022. I had this big pleasure and honor to be invited by the organizers of the conference as a media partner and to record a couple of conversations with the participants of the conference. The conference itself brings together the local leaders to share their experiences and insights and to learn from the experts in the field of local innovation. Between 8th and 10th of May, mayors and other political professionals from throughout Europe and the MENA region gathered in Stuttgart in Germany to discuss the biggest issues confronting us today, working together to find new and bold solutions. The guest of this episode is Jinnih Beels, who is the Vice Mayor of Education and Youth in Antwerp in Belgium. We will discuss about what is the democracy in Antwerp, how to make a difference between what people want and need, how to work with the youth in the city planning, and why it is important to have an ear in a city, and how to also prioritize city policies and how to find funding for realizing those projects and agendas. Welcome to the first episode of Urbcast and Act Now series with Jinnih Beels. Hi, Jinnih, and welcome to my podcast. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Marcin. Thank you for asking.
We have just been a part of a very, very interesting panel here at the Act Now Mayor's Conference when we've been talking about the participation. And I was very interested in how you do it in Antwerp, because it is a city which is similar to the city I live in terms of the numbers, especially in the numbers of the residents, because it's a bit more than 500,000 if it comes to the city and a bit more than 1 million if it comes to this metropolitan area. So maybe some listeners from Copenhagen might be also inspired, not only from Copenhagen as well, but I would like to develop some threads about some common and good practices you have in Antwerp. But maybe first you could say something more about your background and how you became the vice mayor.
Most of the time we are inspired by Copenhagen, so this is really an honor. I am Jinnih Beels. I'm Vice Mayor of Education and Youth in the city of Antwerp in Belgium, in Flanders. And I've been Vice Mayor since I've been elected in 2019, so almost 3 years and a half. Before that, I had another life. I was a police officer for almost 20 years. So I had nothing to do with politics, and then my life changed. I do not regret the choice I made, but I'm honest, it's not been easy. It's not easy because I think democracy is very important. And for me, democracy is fighting for everybody in your society, in your city, in your country, in the world. But it takes a lot of debate and dialogue, and it means that you have to work every day on democracy again. And democracy is for me participation. And participation means that politicians, they have the task to listen to their citizens, to their youngsters, at least, and to discuss in an open and honest way the possibilities to realize things about education and about economy and about the social economic situation, etc. But it's not easy always because you have expectation from the citizens to the politicians, and we cannot always make those expectations come out. You know what I mean? So it means accountability every day again. And it's in my opinion that politicians, they get elected and then they forget often what elections are about. It's about democracy every day and not only about getting elected and then doing what politicians think they have to do, but doing every day what citizens and youngsters want them to do. So you see, it's a discrepancy between what we want as politicians and what society wants. That's why I told in the panel that for me, it's a fight of every day. And I have to convince not only my own colleagues, but a lots of institutions in our society to make participation look like something positive. It's hard work, but it's positive because it means we can make the difference together. And I believe in things you can realize together.
How to deal with that frustration? Because as you said, sometimes there are different wishes and expectations that people have, different citizens also, the old ones, the youth, the kids. They all have different needs, and some of them communicate them, some of them maybe do not communicate them because of lack of the tools or maybe lack of some knowledge. But in general, there might be this frustration that something I need is not being fulfilled in my city. What would be your idea about that?
I think you should make the difference between what people want and what people need. And politics is about both. But again, if you want to change your city, you want to change your country, you want to change the world, it's very important, I think, that politicians and citizens, they do it together. And there has to be an understanding, both sides. I know people are frustrated these days. I know youngsters are frustrated these days because they live in very complex situations and in very complex times. You know that also as me. The economic situation is not that good. And we have a lot of vulnerable people and a lot of vulnerable youngsters who don't have a nice perspective for the future. It's okay that people are angry and frustrated. It's our jobs to listen to them. And then it's our job to do something about it. But never make a promise that you can do everything people want, because that's not the reality. It means, as a politician, that sometimes you have to choose, and choosing means losing. It means that you can realize things in your country, in your city, but it also means that you have to be honest about all the other things you cannot realize. It's not about promises and promises and promises. It's about working together and trying to do your best. I believe if you're honest with the people, they can take it. They are clever enough to realize that not everything they want is something you can realize. But if you lie to them and you are making feel them like everything they want is possible, then you're starting on the wrong grounds. You know what I mean? And then to adapt again, they will not believe you. So participation, the 3.5 years that I've been an active politic vice mayor, is really hard. And it's with ups and downs. And you have to adjust because a system, a digital tool you are developing now, maybe in a few months, in a few weeks, in a few years, it will not be enough. You have to change it. So it's policy, it's always about changing and adapting. You cannot find policy for the next 10, 20, 100 years. That doesn't work because your society is evolving and people are evolving and the situation is evolving. So I think it's very important to ask people, what do you want? What do you need? And how can we create digital tools to make it possible? Very important. It's not technology who will change the world. It's the human race who will change the world. And I think human contact and networking and talking and communicating in the first place is the most important foundation of democracy.
I would love to add to that this podcast might be also a part of the democracy as we are meeting here. And I would love to spread the message of yours, to spread the knowledge you have and also the approach you have in Antwerp. And that's why here I would like to ask you about the specific approach, the innovative approach you have in Antwerp, because I mentioned already that I hope to inspire the listeners with this conversation. And I hope that also amongst the listeners, there are some city officials from different cities. I don't know which ones exactly. So what would be this good practice, the one good example that you are very proud of, or actually, of course, it might be still work in progress, but something that you think that will work out very well and that you are developing as vice mayor, and not only as vice mayor, but also with your whole team?
2 projects. First, the top-down process we have of participation, and that was created in 2012, long before I became a politician. And it's important because there the city of Antwerp has invested in collecting information and ideas and opinions of the citizens of the city of Antwerp. Because we think it's important to consider what is living in your community. And then to take it into account when you are making policy. For example, we were asking youngsters, what do you want to change in your neighborhood? It's easy to make the change on your own as a policymaker, but it's better to listen to those who are living in that part of the neighborhood. Do they need, for example, more sports facilities? Or do they need, for example, more playing fields? That's a top-down participation process. And it's called oor in Dutch. And oor means literally ear. So for me, it's important to listen to the people. And the second one, and that's a project I'm very proud of because I created it with my administration and with my, the cabinet where my employees work, is take over the city, literally giving the city in the hands of young people and telling them, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, everybody had to stay home, we had the lockdowns, and we forgot how difficult it was for young people. We forgot young people during the first months we had to handle the crisis. And at a certain moment, they said, it's enough. And then we realized that's true because it's their future, It was on hold. They couldn't live anymore. They're young and nothing is coming back. So then we realized we have to give them a bottom-up participation tool where they have the feeling that they belong to their city and that they can make a difference. And that they can make a difference on a political platform. So it's our youth service who was supporting the youngsters who wants to make a part of the project. They are choosing the theme. They are choosing how they will make the process. It's a dialogue. It's talking not only with the youngsters themselves, but also with other stakeholders and with politicians. Our mantra in Antwerp is for, by, and with youngsters. So instead of talking over them and about them, we are telling them, you have to tell us how to do it and how you want us to do it. And then you have to realize at a certain point that some of the ideas we can realize, but some of them, because choosing is losing, it's not realistic. We don't have a majority. We don't have the means. We don't have the budget, etc., etc. And I think young people can handle that. As long as we give them the feeling they are involved, they can handle everything. And that I'm very proud of because we created it in 2020. And for the first time, it was active in 2021, last year in February. And since then, they had the opportunity to come and talk about it 2 times at the commission of the city council, where you have the majority, where you have the opposition. They come and talk about their well-being. They came and they talked about skating facilities in the city. So they're choosing the subject. They're choosing how. Politicians can ask them questions and they feel a part of the political process. And I think that is very historical in the city of Antwerp.
It seems like a very, very engaging initiative that the youngsters, the youth, they can just show up in the city council and then just have the dialogue. I think that's how the city council should work. They should have this open doors policy. And on the last finishing note, I would like to ask you about this other side of you as a politician, like also as a vice mayor working in the city council, because I think that the city administration can be a complex system and you have a lot of interests. You have all different vice mayors for infrastructure, transportation, culture. And how can you secure that your ideas will go through? Because it's also about funding, right? Budget and money. So could you just say something more about how to tackle those challenges within the city administration to fulfill your ambitious ideas and visions?
In the city of Antwerp, we are making policy with nationalists and socialists. So it's not that easy because the vision we have about the society is very different. But for 3.5 years, we are succeeding in making policy. So it's about working together. It's about putting all these ideas, political and ideological, aside and thinking about what is the most important thing for our citizens and our youngsters to realize. And we have to do that together. It's bargaining. It's choosing and it's trying to make the best of it. And sometimes I lose and sometimes I win. And that's reality. And I think people can handle that if you just tell them, That's what politics is about. To get to a compromise where you can make the majority of your citizens and youngsters happy. Not everybody, because democracy, they told me, is a tyranny of the majority. That's true. But it means also for me that all the minorities, you have to keep in mind that they're living in your city as well. So we'll have to be a politician, even if I am part of the socialist family. For me, as a politician in the city of Antwerp, it's very important to make policy for every citizen in my city. Not only the people who vote for me, but also the people who didn't. I think that's very important in politics. You get chosen and then you have to do your job. And to do your job, it means you have to work together with parties maybe who are not your natural partners, but hey, that's reality and that's politics.
Thank you. You seem to be very engaged. And I think that's very important, to be engaged in what you do if you want to make the difference.
I'm engaged, that's true, but it sounds easy. But it's a battle, It's not every day easy because every day I find 10 reasons to quit. But then I meet someone or I hear something and then I find 20 reasons to go on. It's like Barack Obama once said, yes, you can. Yes, we can. But it starts with believing in yourself, but most of all, in believing in human race.
That was very inspiring talk. Thank you very much, Jinnih.
Thank you for asking me.